Today we're going to talk about car insurance and what type of insurance coverages you should have on your policy. Ultimately, it breaks down to how much can you afford, but you still want to make sure that you have the right coverages. Keep in mind, I don't know what state you're in, so I can't give you exact advice, but I'll give you kind of a generalization. This information should be pretty much invaluable for a while because I don't think this has really even changed ever since I've been doing it the last 10 years. So the first part is the insurance companies are going to base their price off of the risk. And the risk for them is you, your age, your driving records, all that stuff, but also the location. So how many thefts and how many accidents are in your area? For example, if you look up the most common street to have an accident in, each city has a spot where everyone has car accidents. That's how they determine where that sign for stop or slow down and things have to go, is because when traffic is congested, they tend to have a lot more claims and things like that. Ultimately, you want to make sure that you're in a good area. Obviously, you can't control that, but that's just the way the risk portion of it works. Now, that's going to help determine your pricing, but also you want to make sure, okay, how much income do I make? What's my assets, so to speak? So if you think of it, you don't have to necessarily write it down. We can average this. If you own a house, if you own your car, if you have some investments, if you have a 401k, all of that stuff adds up just in case you want to make sure that you have more money in your insurance policy than you do in your own assets. And that's really the basis of it. If you're on the lower spectrum, you're not necessarily going to have to carry as much insurance. I personally recommend the lowest that everybody should carry is $100,000 per person, $300,000 per accident. That way, if you hurt someone, it'll cover $100,000 of their medical, up to multiple people in the car, $300,000 per accident. I also recommend at least $100,000 property damage. It just matches with that bodily injury. That way, if you hit a nice BMW, you're not going to have to pay out of pocket for that stuff. As far as the uninsured and underinsured motorist, I always just match it to what your current one is, give or take the state you're in, because Florida and some other states have a really, really high uninsured motorist rate. So that could be doubling the price. So you may have to tweak that a little bit in those specific states. Having medical, if you don't have medical outside of your car insurance, I prefer to have it that route. But if you don't, having an extra $5,000 or $10,000 per person in your car is good. So you can cover people that get injured in your car, regardless of who's at fault. It's just medical for you or others that are in your car. The little stuff like towing and road service, sure, that's great to have. Honestly, I would just say do a AAA membership. Most of the time, like during the holidays, you can get the better membership. So I would always do the plus membership or a gold membership, I think they call it. It's usually more, it's like $60 or $70 to purchase that. But if you get it on a deal, you can usually get it for about $45 for the year. Personally, I carry a little bit larger than that. Not that I have that large of an income, but I do plan on having a larger income. So I'm thinking future-wise, because if I get in an accident today and I injure someone and they look at my assets, they might say, okay, he doesn't really have much, but he's projected to have a lot in the future. He's got a really good career. He's growing really fast. Not that they're going to know all that, but if they do go after your income for pain and suffering, they could take portions of your income. It's kind of like child support. If you make $100,000 this year, they're going to take 30% of that. If you make $200,000 this year, they're going to take 30% of that. So it's a percentage of what you're earning that you're going to have to pay back if they do take you to court for those situations. So the last piece, I'm just going to tell you what I carry as far as that liability portion. I do a little bit higher. So I do the $250 per person, $500,000 per accident. Property damage is $100,000 still. It's only a couple dollars, so maybe $4 more a year, $5 more a year if you bump that property up to $250,000. So it might be worth it for you. It's an option. It's probably worth it to have. If you need more than that, then you may want to look at doing what's called an umbrella policy, where it adds $1 million on top of that, and then you can do $2 million, $3 million, $5 million, up to whatever assets. As long as you're covered, so they go after your insurance and not after you. You want to be protected at the end of the day. How this will benefit you, so if you have these higher limits, you have the $250, $500 today, when you go to shop in a year to 5 years from now, let's just say, because insurance prices change all the time. So let's just say you're with AAA today, but they raise the rates over the next 3 years and your prices get out of hand. So then what you're going to want to do is reshop it. When you reshop that, you're going to go to these other companies, and having that higher limit lowers the risk. So that type of person that has the 250, 500 is the homeowner, all that stuff. If all those things add up, but that will get you a better price in the future. So it might be worth it to pay a couple extra dollars to have the extra coverage, not only just to protect you, But when 6 months passes or a year passes, now you're going to get a little bit better of a deal because you're coming into these insurance companies with a better risk. Keep in mind, some states like California, they just don't care about what your current liability limits are. So there are other states that don't discount that. But in most states, I'd say, 90% of the states out there, they give you discounts based on that type of risk. If you guys get good value out of this, I would love it if you hit the like button. Leave me a comment below and let me know what kind of liability limits you're looking towards. If you need advice, love to help. Otherwise, subscribe if you want to learn more.